will never be lame again. The road that leads me to gold is right here. Come walk with me, always keep at least a half P. Come smoke with me, I feel so blessed.
Welcome back to the Truth as I See It podcast. And I am your host, Mizal. And this is episode 11, When the Rap Stops. Marlo Mike, Lil Boosie, and the Cost of Street Loyalty. This episode is not about music. This episode is all about consequences. Everybody loves the mythology of the streets. Everybody loves the image, fam. The chains, the cars, the bravado, the captions that say, real ninjas only. But nobody wants to sit with what happens after the cameras turn off, after the studio sessions end, after the song fades out, after the jury reads the verdict. Tonight, we're talking about Marlo Mike, a kid, 15 years old, still legally a child, and the grown men who benefited while he threw his entire life away. This might not be the truth that everybody likes, but it's damn sure the truth as I see it. We talking about Lil Boosie, a rap star who built a brand on street credibility. Went to trial for murder and walked his ass free. While a 15-year-old teenager went to prison for the rest of his life. And that's not gossip. That's not internet speculation. That's court transcripts. That's police testimony. That's recorded lyrics and sentencing records. Before anybody jumps in their feelings, yes, Boosie was found not guilty. That's law. But law and accountability are not the same thing, fam. Because even when the system clears you, somebody else still pays. Again, this episode is called When the Rap Stops. Marlo Mike, Lil Boosie, and the Cost of Street Loyalty. Let's tell the whole story. Not the one the culture sells, but the one the prison walls remember. Yeah. Who was Marlo Mike really? Well, Marlo Mike's real name is Michael Marlo Mike Louding. Born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a city with a deep history of poverty, violence, and survival culture. No trust funds. Not too many music deals. No safety net at all. By the time Marlo Mike was 15 years old, he was already talked about in the streets of Baton Rouge as a shooter. 15 years old. Not because he was powerful, not because he was respected, but because he was available. According to court records and testimony, he was involved in multiple shootings. He became known as a contract shooter. He was eventually convicted of 9 murders, all before he could legally vote, all before he could legally buy a drink, all before his brain was fully developed. Let that sink in, fam. Nine effing bodies at 15 years old. This is where people get it twisted. Marlo Mike wasn't no mastermind. Marlo Mike wasn't no kingpin. And Marlo Mike wasn't out there calling shots. He had proximity, not power. Get it correct. Proximity, not power, fam. Yeah. When the streets mark you for life, it's normally with a tattoo. And here's the details the culture loves to ignore. Marlo Mike had an infamous tattoo on his stomach. And that tattoo read, Boosie, who next? You heard me right. Boosie, who next? That tattoo openly symbolizes death, violence, and loyalty to these punk-ass streets. That tattoo wasn't just body art. That tattoo was branding. It was a warning. It was a sentence. Because once you wear the identity on your skin, there ain't no switching up, brother. The streets don't let you rebrand. Yeah, the streets don't allow you to grow. Yeah, once you stamped, you owned by those streets. And Marlo Mike was stamped before he was even grown. Enter Lil Boosie allegedly, but public record. Lil Boosie, real name Torrance Hatch, was already established. He had money, he had fame, he had influence, studio access, and according to prosecutors, he had street authority. And in 2009, Baton Rouge police investigated the murder of Terry Boyd. The state's theory? Lil Boosie allegedly ordered the hit, and Marlo Mike allegedly carried it out. Boosie was charged with first-degree murder. This wasn't internet drama. This was a capital murder case. And here's the uncomfortable reality. When adults with influence move in street environments, kids become tools. All kind of lyrics that followed the body. During Boosie's trial, prosecutors didn't rely on rumors. They played actual recordings. Lyrics pulled from hard drives. Lyrics recorded around the time of the murder. Not metaphors. Not hypotheticals. Lyrics that mention Marlo Mike by name, referenced a Monte Carlo matching the car tied to the crime, referenced payment, shooters, and retaliation. The prosecution argued, this ain't music, this is documentation. The defense argued, this is art, this is exaggeration, this is rap culture. And legally, the jury sided with the defense. Lil Boosie was acquitted, Marlo Mike was not. What happened to Marlo Mike? Yeah, he was convicted. He was sentenced to life in prison with no parole at 15 years old. No album, no redemption interviews, no platform, no explanation tour. Just a 6x6 cell with a bunk attached to the wall. Where were the adults? Where were the mentors at? The culture went silent on Marlo Mike. Where were the men with money who preached loyalty? Because the verdicts came down, the star went home, the child went away forever. Huh? Huh? Disposable. Disposable. That's what people are to these so-called rappers and stars. Disposable. Disposable soldiers. Street economics. This ain't just about Boosie. This is about how the streets operate. The streets love young crash outs because they don't ask any questions. They crave validation and they confuse loyalty with legacy. Huh? But street loyalty is never equal. It flows upward. Huh? The money goes up. The influence goes up. But the consequences go down. Marlo Mike didn't gain no power. He gained a life sentence. Legal innocence versus moral responsibility. Let's be exact. Lil Boosie was legally innocent. That matters. But morally, don't stop at the verdict. Morality, yeah, that don't stop at the verdict. The culture allows powerful men to glorify violence, surround themselves with violence, and profit from violence. Then they get to hide behind, I didn't pull the trigger. Yeah. But ain't leadership about impact, not just action? Talk to me. Is leadership about impact and not just action? Marlo Mike impacted straight into a prison. This the part nobody want to say out loud. Street culture eats its young. Not suburban kids, not rich kids, not protected kids, poor kids, poor black kids, disposable black kids. Kids raised where prison is normalized and celebrated. Huh? Death is routine and normal. Huh? Fame looks like the only exit out the hood. And once you're no longer youthful, silence. Not a damn protest in sight. Not a damn campaign in sight. Where the free Marlo Mike movement's at? Huh? Where they at? Because tragedy without profit doesn't trend, fam. Now here's the myth about street glory. There is nothing at all gangster about using a child to do adult crimes. It is nothing at all gangster about letting a kid take a life sentence for a grown-ass man. There is nothing at all gangster about calling destruction culture. That's not power, fam. That's cowardice dressed as masculinity. That's bozoism. Huh? That's goofyism. Huh? This episode ain't about canceling Boosie. This episode is about counting the cost behind the image. Counting the cost behind the image. Marlo Mike ain't no hero, but he ain't no monster either. He's a warning label. And until the culture stops worshiping the soundtrack and ignoring the sentencing, there will always be another Marlo Mike. Another, and another. Because the streets don't reward loyalty, fam. They reward usefulness. And once you're used, you're done. This episode, if this episode made you uncomfortable, then good. Truth ain't supposed to be comfortable. If you're still glorifying this lifestyle, ask yourself, would you let your child be the next Marlo Mike? Huh? This was episode 11. This is the Truth as I See It podcast. And I am your host, Mizal. And sometimes the real crime is what we keep calling normal. Again, this isn't the truth as everybody likes, but it's damn sure the truth as I see it. I'll talk to y'all later.